Hey guys, and welcome back for another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this really cute essential oil roller ball wallet. I made a wallet for 8 bottles and 4 bottles, but in this video I will be featuring the 2 bottle wallet. This pattern will be located over at my blog, which is charmedbyashley.com, for free, so you can head over there, print it out, cut out your pieces, and meet me back here. So, if you don't already know, I do have a Patreon. There you'll find access to my paid patterns as well as early access to tutorials and other updates. So the other 2 patterns for this wallet will be provided to supporters of my Patreon. So if you're interested in my paid patterns, please consider supporting me and my channel. I also have paid patterns on Craftsy and Etsy, and all those links will be in the description box below. So without further ado, let's get into the tutorial. Okay, so first you will of course get all your pattern pieces cut out. So hopefully you went over to the pattern, printed it out. It is totally free for you, so you can definitely share it with your friends, make them, sell them, do whatever you want. In the pattern, I will tell you which ones you need to interface, so you can go ahead and do that first, and then we can start working on the ironing of some pieces. The first thing I'm going to do is work on the pocket. This is the part that's going to be on the roller balls, so forming the pocket. That is going to be folded in half, and then I will do a top stitch on the folded edge. And then I will take this little piece, and that is going to be the little Velcro closure. I'm going to fold that in half, and I'm going to sew up the long side and one of the short side. Make sure when you are creating this that if you do have a directional fabric, that they are all going the same way as I am. So I would do the short seam on the top of your fabric. So I'm just going to take it over to the sewing machine. I did it about, an 1/8 of an inch away, just a little top stitch, just makes it look a little bit more professional, especially if you're going to be selling these. And then I'll do a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance for my little Velcro piece. Once you've sewn that, then you're just going to take your snips and just cut off the corners, and that's going to ensure that when you do flip it right side out, it is nice and crisp and you get some nice sharp corners. I always like to use something long and pointy to flip my things right side out. I use this chopstick. I actually got it in the bag of stuffing, so whenever I get a bag of stuffing, I like to just kind of stockpile those, so I always have one handy. And then I'm just going to press this down, and then after I'm going to do a top stitch around the 3 sides, and like I said, that's just going to make it look a little bit more polished and professional. So I did about like 2 millimeters away from the edge. And now we're going to take this piece and set it aside till the end, and we're going to start working on the actual pockets for our roller ball. So I have this long rectangle. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to find the center of the rectangle, and then I'm going to take the pocket piece and find the center of that piece. I'm using a water soluble pen. You can use chalk, something that's gonna of course go away and you won't see it. So I'm just going to use this pen to do that. If you have a dark fabric, chalk really works well also for it. So I found the middle of my pocket piece. I'm going to line it up with the middle of that long rectangle, lay it flat, and then make sure that folded edge is at the top. And then you will just put a pin in it, make sure it doesn't shift, take it over to the sewing machine, and we'll just do a straight seam. Make sure you double tack it right here at the top of that folded edge, just because this will have some stress on it from putting the bottles in and out. Okay, so once you've done that, you're going to take the right side of the fabric and you're just going to bring up that raw edge to the raw edge of that long rectangle. We're going to just tack that down with a little clip here, and then we'll go to the other side and do the exact same thing. So this next part is actually going to be just sort of like temporary. I mean, you won't see it in the finished project, but it's just to make sure that you don't have things moving when we do the final step. So make sure that this seam is really close to those edges, because like I said, if you did it a quarter of an inch in, you might end up seeing those stitches, and you don't want to do that. So from here, I'm going to take my ruler and measure 3/4 of an inch away from that center seam that we did previously. And then we're going to fold the fabric flat and then sew along that line. So I'm doing that on both sides, and 3/4 away from the center is the exact measurement you want for your bottles. So now the bottles will fit in perfect. From here, of course, we need to close up the hole. This is another thing that we're just going to do as just tacking it down so that it doesn't move around when we go to do the final step. So I'm just going to sort of pleat these little pockets down so that they're uniform and they look nice. And then I'll do a seam along that bottom edge as close to the edge as I can get without falling off. So I sewed that off camera, and now I'm going to start working on the Velcro. I'm using about 1 inch. You can use a little bit more if you feel you need to. I use more for the bigger wallets just because it's going to be heavier, but for the 2 little ones, I think 1 inch is good. So I kind of just put it together, did a little test run just to see where I want my Velcro placed. So you can do that if you want. If not, just make sure the Velcro is centered and about, I'd say, 3/4 to 1 inch away from the edge. I'm just going to pin it down just to make sure it doesn't shift around, and then I will go over to the sewing machine, sew around all 4 sides, and then sometimes, depending on how long your Velcro is, I like to do one from corner to corner just to make sure it's nice and secured flat. Okay, so once you've secured that Velcro, we're going to work on the next step, which is basically assembling the entire thing. So we're going to take that first rectangle and lay that flat on top of the one that has the Velcro. Make sure the Velcro is touching the little pockets, and then on the other end we're going to insert our little tab and make sure the raw edge of that tab is also lining up with the raw edge of the rectangle. And then we're going to sew all the way around, but we're going to leave about a 1 to 2 inch gap right in the middle. I wouldn't leave it around where the pockets are, so just, you know, near the other end where the tab is. And then I'm going to turn the whole thing right side out. And at first I like to pull on that tab, and that kind of gives me a head start because it is a little bit tricky trying to get it right side out. As you can tell, my struggle is real. But eventually you will get it all done, and make sure you got that chopstick handy because that definitely helps. Okay, so once you're done that, then you're gonna press it. Of course, I always find that when I do have something that has interfacing, when I flip it right side out, the interfacing gets so wrinkled, it's just like you can't even come back from it. But then once you press it, then it's perfectly beautiful and crisp, and I love it. So there's one thing about this pattern that I did accidentally cut that pocket piece a little bit too small. So when you do open this pattern, the pattern piece for that pocket will be the correct size. So just ignore that. But now that I put the pockets in, I just close it up just to see where the Velcro will fall for the tab, and then I put the Velcro on that tab, and then after I just did a top stitch around the whole entire thing, and that will also close up that little hole, and then that's it, you're done. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and share with your essential oil loving friends. And also, if you're interested in those other 2 patterns, all those links will be in the description box below. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you do follow me on my Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and also support me over at my Patreon, which is also linked below. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!